Hi everyone. That way. Hi everyone, you are listening to the Jack Halford Podcast. I'm not really sure what episode this is, but yeah, what have we gotten up to this week? Not much in running, but I do plan to run an ultra marathon maybe next week. Yeah, just an easy 30-mile run, I reckon. I don't think it should take that long. Probably 5 hours. I'd say 5 hours. It's a conservative estimate. You know, because I'm not going to go incredibly fast because that's how you fail. So I'm just going to go relatively slow and just run. Yeah, and then I've done one then. And then I'm going to slow down on the running for a bit and strength train for a strongman in September. And then by September I'll be probably weighing a lot and be able to lift a lot more weight than I was able to at last year's event. Yes. You may have noticed that today's microphone is, yes, a handsaw. Now, I don't really know why I decided today it's going to be a handsaw, but it is. I've decided to do more printing lately because I like the ability to be able to produce something over and over and over and over again, but with slight differences and variations, but still the same thing. You may have noticed I've got a book here and a bag there. That bag I've actually printed on that. It says "Stop being a bitch." It's a lino cut print, and I'm going to be releasing some prints on the website soon, some totes and some, just prints on paper. Now I might also do some pin badges, and I've not decided yet whether I'm going to design these bags so that they have prints and pin badges on them, but we'll see. Might look a bit punk. I like the idea of that. So it might be like a spring summer little capsule collection type thing I might just make. Yeah. I did take part in a woodworking workshop on Thursday with kids, and that was quite fun. We were making birdhouses. We didn't actually make any birdhouses. We ended up just making like wooden tables. I suppose they were bird tables. I made a door. I painted the door different colours, which always makes me think of when I'm thinking of the doors. When I'm thinking of doors, I always think of perception, which is another thing I'm trying to get out in the next 2 weeks. The book that a lot of you pre-ordered called Beyond Another Realm, Beyond Your Perception. Man, I'm tired. That will be out. I'm working very hard over the next 2 weeks to get that out. I've basically got all of the content. I'm just rejigging things and making sense of it. But it's going to be a very chaotic publication. It's not going to be straightforward. It's going to be like opening up a wallet, because you sort of have to. That's the point. It's kind of a game, not really a normal book. It's more like life itself, where you have to sort of uncover things to figure out the next step, like a Goosebumps, pick your story route type thing. Go back to page 5, but they won't be telling you what to do. You just got to figure it out for yourself. a bit like meditations, where you don't read it cover to cover, you just sort of open it on any page, and then you might find something that resonates. It's an arty, farty thing, Yeah. But this is the first, well, it's not the first zine I've ever made, but it's really the most popular one. I've sold copies of this worldwide. Just over the past few days, I've sent copies to Australia, Canada, US, all over the UK as well. People all over Europe, all over the world have been buying ebooks. It's quite a popular book, and I made it to try and help men who might be a bit depressed and apathetic, and they're struggling with self-destructive habits. And I sort of talk about my own experiences with that and how I figured out how to sort of cope, which is very difficult, and it still is. Like, today's a nice day and you just go outside and you're like, yeah, I could really just go and sit in a beer garden right now, which isn't probably, isn't that bad, but it could easily turn into smoking cigarettes, and then before you know it, a bad habit, which can lead to not going to the gym as much, which just leads to staying in and not doing it, and then when you become apathetic, one thing can lead to another thing. Bad habits can have a momentum and sort of turn into shit, whereas I sort of really try and be disciplined with the good habits and create momentum straight away in the morning with the ice bath, with the working out, a walk in nature, just eating good in the morning, cleaning up, whatever it is. You just do one thing, making your bed as soon as you get up, one thing, and then it just sort of, you don't want to wreck that good momentum, then you just keep it up. This is what I'm talking about in this. Habits, which I suppose is the next book. I really am carrying on that. It's about opening your eyes to be able to see the things that you probably can't see, because we only see what we focus on. We see a very small amount of what is actually available to see because of our experience as humans. But we are able to change how we see the world by just changing a few things, which is what I'm writing about. And yeah, this is a pretty interesting thing to write. I have to reread what I write to remember how I can live better, because sometimes I get in a rut and I'm like, how the fuck have I got in this rut? And then I get back into it and I'm like, your life's pretty cool. Easy to focus on war and destruction and genocide and crime and financial worries, but if you don't focus on that and focus instead on the good stuff, on, wait a second, I have the internet, I have a little bit of cash I can use to buy materials to make more money, there is jobs out there is opportunity, you go for them, and then before you know it, you're sort of alright again. It's amazing what can happen in last 6 months. I've gone through a few different jobs. Now I've got one I like, got two I like actually, and make my own stuff. So anyone can do anything if you just focus on the right things and fuck the bad habits and hanging out with negative people and people that say you can't do something, because you can quite easily do anything if you just put in the work for not even that long. It's just consistently putting in the work for a few months, and that's how you do it. That's how you fucking do it. Yeah. Now, the best thing you can do is to just get out in nature. I think that's the best thing. Now it's getting warmed up again. Just get out in nature. Go and look at some trees. Go and look at some green bodies of water. Just sit there in the quiet nature. Just taking it in. It's the best sort of way to reset, rejuvenate. And it is important to rest. Every Saturday I'm normally taking it as a rest day. I am cleaning the house. I am tidying everything up. I've been to the studio yesterday to clean everything up, to get it all ordered, ready for the next couple of weeks of deep work. And yeah, you need a rest day where you order everything, where you clean everything, you meal prep, you get everything sorted, and you make it easy to do the habits that you want to have, and you're going to make it hard to, do the bad habits. So, if you're living in a good environment, a clean environment, you've got a good fridge full of healthy food, and it's going to be a lot easier for you. If you surround yourself with clutter and shit, then your life's going to be full of clutter and shit. So sort it out. It's hard, but it'll only take 20 minutes. Or if it's a proper state, just fucking do it, and then make it routine to do it every 7 days, and it's just easier to keep on top of it then. It is hard. And sometimes it doesn't look a mess, but then you clean it anyway because it's routine, and it actually figured out it was a bit of a mess. It needed a clean, but because it's cleaned regularly, you don't notice, and that's when it's easy to let it slide. That's when you're feeling good, it's really easy to think, oh, actually, maybe I could leave it. Don't. Keep it up. You can always be better. You can always be cleaner. Not to say you shouldn't have fun and be spontaneous, but if it's only been a few weeks, a few months of trying to get your shit together, then think hard about what you want to do. Keep it up. Keep it up. Anyway, I got a Jim Morrison book here. One of my favourite people of all time. Really like him. Good poet. And I'm going to try and find a particular passage of this. I think I just went past it. There are no longer dancers, the possessed. The cleavage of men into actor and spectators is a central fact of our time. We are obsessed with heroes who live for us and whom we punish. If all the radios and televisions were deprived of their sources of power, all books and paintings burned tomorrow, all shadows and cinemas closed, all the arts of vicarious existence, all the arts of vicarious existence, we are content with a given in sensation's quest. We have been metamorphosized from a mad body dancing on hillsides to a pair of eyes staring in the dark. Let me just read that again. I'm going to miss a bit of this out. There are no longer dancers, the possessed. The cleavage of men into actor and spectators is a central fact of our time. We are obsessed with heroes who live for us and whom we punish. We are content with a given in sensation's quest. We have been metamorphosized from a mad body dancing on hillsides to a pair of eyes staring in the dark. When I read a mad body dancing on hillsides, I think of The Fall on the Hill. Yeah, that's all Beatles lyric. I think of pagans solstice, which is fun because I think it's actually the first day of British summertime today, which is interesting. It's Saturday, I'm recording this. We have been metamorphosized from a mad body dancing on hillsides to a pair of eyes staring in the dark. We don't feel things. We don't really see everything around us. We're not really taking it all in. A pair of eyes staring in the dark. Not one of the prisoners regained sexual balance, depressions, impotency, sleepiness, blah 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 blah. It's a good book. Jim Morrison was a bit of a crazy dude. He died when he was 27. Thank God I'm not in the 27 club. He died when he was 27. Mad how much he got done in those 27 years of his. He was really fat near the end. I think he was addicted to heroin. I can't remember how he died. I think it was a heroin overdose or alcohol. I think he suffocated on his own puke or something beautiful like that. It's really nice. I think that's how Jimi Hendrix went, and maybe also what's her name? Anyway, 27 Club's a bit of a weird one. All those people that died when they were 27. A club of death, a death court, a death club. The voyeur, the peeper, the peeping Tom is a dark comedian. He is repulsive in his dark anonymity. In his secret invasion, he is pitifully alone. But strangely, he is able through the same silence and concealment to make unknowing partner of anyone within his eye's range. This is his threat and power. Freaks. Deviants. I think we're all voyeurs. Because you're watching this, you're a voyeur. You're looking at me, you're listening to me. Why? It's very odd. Why do we listen to other people? Why? When we don't know them, when they're not part of our inner circle, our family or friends. Why? Are we interested in what they have to say? Are we interested in the idea of them, the way they look, what they were? Why? It's very odd. But I get it. Because I am also nosy. I suppose I'm a peeping Tom. There are no glass houses. The shades are drawn and real. Life begins. Some activities are impossible in the open. And these secret events are the voyeur's game. He seeks them out with his myriad army of eyes, like the child's notion of deity who sees all, everything, asks the child. Yes, everything, they answer, and the child is left to cope with this divine intrusion. The voyeur is masturbator, the mirror his badge, the window his prey. Urge to come to terms with the outside by absorbing, interiorizing. I won't come out, you must come into me, into my womb garden, where I peer out, where I can construct a universe within the skull to rival the real. It's fucking weird, isn't it? So weird. Cinema is the most totalitarian of the arts. All energy and sensation is sucked up into the skull, a cerebral erection, skull bloated with blood. Caligula wished a single neck for all his subjects, that he would behead a kingdom with one blow. Cinema is this transforming agent. The body exists for the sake of the eyes. It becomes a dry stalk to support these two soft, insatiable jewels. Film confers a kind of spurious entirety. You can't really just open this, but you can kind of just open this book, read something and think, get a bit provoked. A horror of empty spaces propagates this seal on private places. Male genitals are small faces forming trinities of thieves and Christs, fathers, sons, ghosts. Trying to get something. I'm trying to read something that's going to take me on a tangent. It's going to take me on a thought journey. Metamorphos. An object is cut off from its name, habits, associations, detached. It becomes only the thing in and of itself. When this integration into pure existence is at last achieved, the object is free to become endlessly anything. That's an interesting idea, isn't it? Detachment from your self. Detachment from the self. I think that I like the idea of this, and I'm trying to embrace this. I think detachment from self is just detachment from caring about what you look like and sound like, and it's just self-consciousness, isn't it? Detachment from self-consciousness, from really caring about other people, think. Yeah. Quietness. The alchemists detect in the sexual activity of man a correspondence with the world's creation, with the growth of plants and with mineral formations. When they see the union of rain and earth, they see it in an erotic sense as copulation, and this extends to all natural realms of matter, for they can picture love affairs of chemicals and stars, a romance of stones, or the fertility of fire. Separate, purify, reunite, the formula ars magna, and its heir, the cinema. The camera is androgynous machine, a kind of mechanical hermaphrodite. In his retort, the alchemist repeats the work of nature. Alchemy is a funny thing. I do think of myself as a bit of an alchemist. I do make my own oil paint, but I also am interested in the idea of there only being 4 or 5 elements. The ancient Greeks used to think there was only 4 elements: fire, earth, air, and water. And then there was this 5th element. I think it was Aristotle or Plato, I forget which one, who thought there was also ether, because they thought, well, stars must be made of something completely different to what is here on Earth, so they call it ether. And when I think of ether, I always think of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, because they huffed ether. I don't know what ether is. But good film. I mean, I love all this shit. Jim Morrison, Hunter S. Thompson, and then me thinking about perception, speaking to a saw. It's pretty good stuff. You don't need drugs to feel weird. All you need to do is get really exhausted and then go sleep, and then you will see strange things. Sleep deprivation is basically drugs. You can hallucinate. It's not fun. It could be, if you embrace it. I think it's only in reflecting on these experiences that you can actually have fun. I think that a lot of traumatic events, in hindsight, you can laugh at, and you can go back and sort of change them in your head if they keep coming up and making you feel weird as well. You can sort of go back and do internal work and figure out how to make it better again. You sort of go and pat yourself on the shoulder and say it's going to be okay. There's some therapists that do that. I did a good exercise with my mentor, Mariam Hemish. I can't say her last name, I'm sorry. Let's just call her Mariam. She guided me, did me a guide, and I did some internal exploration and talked to my childhood self in a memory. And it was a pretty interesting trip. It was pretty interesting. And it helped. It did help. It felt kind of very emotionally charged, but I left childhood me in a better place. It was good. I think therapy is something that everyone should try, and you should try different types if one doesn't work for you. I always kind of think that the gym is kind of like a church for me, and is my therapy, and so is just hanging out with people and just talking to them. But yeah, you got to try these things to figure out whether they're going to help you or not. You know? You really have. You may enjoy life from afar. You may look at things but not taste them. You may caress the mother only with the eyes. You cannot touch these phantoms. French deck, solitary stroker of cards. He dealt himself a hand, turned stills of the past in unending permutations, shuffle and begin, sought the images again and sought them again. This game reveals germs of truth and death. The world becomes an apparently infinite, yet possibly finite card game. Imagine combinations, permutations comprise the world game. A mild possession devoid of risk, at the bottom sterile. With an image there is no attendant danger. Muybridge derived his animal subjects from the Philadelphia Zoological Garden, male performers from the university. The women were professional artists, models, also actresses and dancers parading nude before the 48 cameras. Films are collections of dead pictures which are given artificial insemination. Ugh. So is he talking about coming over films? I don't know. Film spectators are quiet vampires. Isn't it sort of sucking the souls of video? Yeah, I can see that. You know what? That does make you think, doesn't it? That does make you think. I do think that we look at these people in the spotlight sometimes, and we want certain things from them, and we are like vampires, especially the paparazzi and things. They get you thinking like that. Like these things are fucking utilities, but they are human beings. Human beings aren't utilities. They're not electricity. They are not for us to just take. That's what kills a person. That's what probably helped kill all of these people in the 27 Club. To think you were saying stuff like that. Crazy. Do you get sick of it all because you don't feel like life has any purpose? We all get like that sometimes, but I tell you what, I don't think nihilism is very cool. I think there is meaning to be found in the everyday. Every day is part of the process that is forging your body and mind. Every single experience is chiseling you into the person you are meant to be, even being aware of it sometimes. Even without you being aware of it sometimes. We all get down. We all experience great losses in life, but none of those losses mean you can't still reach your goals. There is always a way. You just need to get up and get at it, even if it's just a little bit a day. Even if you're just going through the motions. It keeps the practice up. Again, I don't think nihilism is very cool. And I was thinking that the other morning, actually, I was thinking about nihilism because I was thinking of that brilliant film, The Big Lebowski, where there was nihilists, and yeah, they were great in the film. Sometimes I think films can romanticize these sort of like self-destruction and bad states of being and thinking, like nihilism or apathy, like in Fight Club, where that's delusion, but like not good delusion, bad delusion, like mental illness, really schizophrenic type of stuff. Crazy. Not good. But they're great films, though. We shouldn't ban them. They should just sort of try not to look at that type of thing and think, wow, maybe if I become a nihilist, then I'll look like a cool goth in a Nazi film. No, you're gonna look like a piece of shit. It's a very good thing to think, oh, we're gonna die, so nothing really means anything. To then explore the world and to then think, well, nothing really means anything, so go and explore, try the new things, do the weird stuff. Who cares? Because everyone who's seeing it is gonna die anyway, so who cares? Why do we all care so much? But I think the bad side of nihilism is all the bad habits. Not to say that you can't partake in some things in moderation, but probably not a good idea. I repeat myself with this because I think it's an important thing to remember. Instant gratification is fucking amazing, but also is the destruction of you. Comfort is a dangerous thing. I was very comfortable about a year and a half ago. I thought I was very content. I was being fed bits of dried mango by a very attractive woman on a sofa while watching a film and drinking red wine. And I was in a hotel room sipping on sparkling wine and ordering all the desserts in room service and shagging someone in front of a mirror on a very big bed in a hotel room in a nice suite. And then it all went south. And when you really are just really sort of going for it in life and you're being very gluttonous and having all of these things, because you can have all of these things. You can have all of these, like the wine and the women and the sex and the painting, but then you neglect that thing, the uncomfortableness, the things that you actually need to do, the work, and then your life can get a bit harder. You need to do the hard things on a regular basis. It's okay to indulge, but that's why people only go on holiday for a week or two, because it gets boring very fast. Yeah, you get used to the way of life, but then it's not actually that good. I think that's when anxiety can creep in, because you're not used to being uncomfortable. So when you do get uncomfortable, you're like, oh god, this is overwhelming. If you put yourself through that on a regular basis, you are prepared. That's why if there's any rich people listening to this, you'd probably know that, because you can afford a personal trainer and you're well read and well versed in this kind of thing. But a lot of the young people that are from privileged backgrounds, I can imagine that they're all addicted to benzos and these anti-anxiety drugs, because they're not being put into the shit unless they're going to a military boarding school or something and they've got a very authoritative teacher, unless they get into the armed forces. I think that's probably a good route, to be honest, to make people into well-rounded individuals that can have empathy. It could also turn them into mad fucking killers and crazy people. First, man stood shifting stance while germs of sight unfurled flags in his skull, and quickening hair, nails, skin turned slowly whirled in the warm aquarium, warm wheel turning. Cave fish, eels and grey salamanders turn in their night career of sleep. The idea of vision escapes the animal worm whose earth is an ocean, whose eye is its body. The theory is that birth is promoted by the child's desire to leave the womb. But in the photograph, an unborn horse's neck strains inward with legs scooped out. From this, everything follows. Swallow milk at the breast until there's no milk. Squeeze wealth at the rim until tile pools claim it. He swallows seed, his pride, until with pale mouth legs. She sucks the root, dreading world to devour child. Doesn't the ground swallow me when I die, or the sea, if I die at sea? The city hive, web, or severed insect mound, all citizens, heirs of the same royal parent, the caged beast, the holy centre, a garden in the midst of the city. See Naples and die, jump, ship, rats, sailors and death. So many wild pigeons, animals ripe with new diseases. There is only one disease, and I am its catalyst. Cried, doomed pride of the carrier. Fighting, dancing, gambling, bars, cinema. Cinemas thrive in the avid summer. Fighting, dancing, gambling, bars, cinemas thrive in the avid summer. Savage destiny, naked girl seen from behind on the natural road. Friends explore the labyrinth. Movie, young woman left on the desert. A city gone mad with fever. Sisters of the unicorn dance, sisters and brothers of pyramid dance, mangled hands, tales of the old days, discovery of the sacred pool, changes, mute-handed stillness, baby cry. The wild dog, the sacred beast, find her. He goes to see the girl of the ghetto, dark, savage streets, a hut lighted by candles. She is magician, female prophet, sorceress, dressed in the past, all arrayed. The stars, the moon, she reads the future in your hand. I don't dig what they did to that girl. Mercy pack, wild song they sing as they chop her hands nailed to a ghost tree. I saw a lynching, met the strange men of the southern swamp. Cypress was their talk, fish call and bird song, roots and signs. Out of all knowing they chanced to be their guides to the white gods. Modern life is a journey by car. The passengers change terribly in their reeking seats, or roam from car to car, subject to unceasing transformation. Inevitable progress is made towards the beginning. There is no difference in terminals. As we slice through cities whose ripped backsides present a moving picture of windows, signs, streets, buildings, sometimes other vessels, closed worlds, vacuums, travel along beside to move ahead, or fall utterly behind, destroy roofs, walls, seeing all the rooms at once. From the air we are trapped, gods with the gods' omniscient gaze, but without their power to be inside minds and cities as they fly above. A room moves over a landscape, uprooting the mind, astonishing vision. A grey film melts off the eyes and runs down the cheeks. Farewell. Is modern life a journey by car? I think so. I keep thinking about how straight away in the morning I can see everything for a little tablet, like that witch in The Wizard of Oz looking at that ball. She can see wherever she wants to see, like through a portal we can see anything we want. It's dangerous. We shouldn't be able to see everything at once all of the time, and it's not natural. It's noisy. It's like God hearing every single prayer at once. He needs a system where he could, too many prayers. Come on. You gotta create a system. You need to create a system so you can slow everything down, one thing at a time. Deep focus. Modern life is a car journey. Yeah, I read a book once, and I think it was called Non-Places, and it was talking about how motorways and airports and aeroplanes and long journeys and things like this aren't really places. They're non-places, non-spaces. They don't exist. They are the in-between. We use them to get from one place to another. They are limbo. When you are in an airport, it's not really a destination. You aren't in any destination. You're between destinations. It's the same thing when you're on a phone. You're not really anywhere. You're sort of everywhere at once. You're forgetting where you are. You're out of sync with the moment. You're not in the moment. You're in someone else's moment. You're not even living. You're dead. It's disgusting. So, Easter is here. We should be thinking about spending time with loved ones and eggs and munching on lots of chocolate eggs. That's what I think. There's nothing wrong with that. In moderation. This is the thing, if we do too much of one thing, we get sick of it. And even if it's a good thing, we'll get sick of it. Which is why some parents will, if they find out that their child has been smoking a cigarette, they'll tell them to smoke a whole pack, because they hope that they'll really just throw up and won't do it again. The thing is, that doesn't really work, because they might throw up that day, but then they'll really crave it. Which is, the same for other things as well. Drinking is an addictive thing. You can have a really bad experience with it, but then you just keep doing it over and over again. Something really bad and drastic sometimes needs to happen in order for you to make a change. Most of the time, a death of a loved one, the ending of a relationship, or just a big failure, like getting an F or failing at something at school or at college, university, and you're like, all right, this is a wake-up call, I need to get my shit together. Having a big argument, a confrontation, a car crash, an illness. Something needs to happen sometimes to give you a kick up the arse. And I think that's a natural thing. I think that is sort of a destiny. I think these things, they're meant to be to kick. Things don't happen for a reason, even bad things. They happen to give you that kick up the arse and to say, look, don't take this thing for granted. You have to put in the hard work. You have to actually get up and do stuff, all right? This isn't a free ride. There is pain. But if you embrace the pain, then it's easier. Again, repeating that pain is good mentality. I mean, it's not always good. People that cut themselves shouldn't do that. Definitely not. That's not good. Arthritis. A lot of people get that. That's not good. But I'm not talking about that, obviously. You are alone and have no need of other you and the child mother who bore you, who weaned you, who made you man. Do you dare deny my potency, my kindness or forgiveness? Just try, you will fry like the rest of the holiness. And not for a penny will I spare any time for you ghost children down there in the frightening world. Dance naked on broken bones, feet bleed and stain, glass cuts over your mind in the dry end of a vacuum boat, while the people drop lines in still pools and pull ancient trout from the deep home, scales crusted and gleaming green. A knife was stolen, a valuable hunting knife, by some strange boys from the other camp across the lake. What was the arm when you were writing this? Or is it just a stream of consciousness? A stream of consciousness is a good way of coming up with things. This really does feel like it's just a stream of consciousness unedited, or maybe you just edited slightly so it rhymes. I like it nonetheless. I think these type of books are very good. When you're stuck, read poetry. Consume art. Don't try and force things. Try and force things. Do streams of consciousness, but also consume a lot. And that is actually a good time, well, unless you're in a bad place, to consume some kind of hallucinogenic drug. Not if you're in a bad mental state, but if you are in a good state of mind, if you're doing a lot of healthy things, then I suppose it is okay to do some kind of hallucinogen like mushrooms or acid or something like that to try and come up with things. But there is better ways, just like going for a walk or going to the cinema, consuming art. It's the best way to get unstuck. Sometimes you need that rest and you just need to start you need to figure out why you do what you do. Sometimes you forget. It's probably because you were inspired by another artist and you were like, oh, I like that, I want to do that now. As you get curious about processes, you want to try these things. You have to sort of constantly remind yourself, I think, sometimes, because it's easy to fall out of love with what you do if you don't. But there is a reason we do what we do. And a lot of it, sometimes it's just an urge. I get the urge, the creative urge to just express myself. I have to get out feelings, and I do it on the canvas. I do it with this podcast. I do it with my writing practice, the books that I make, printing, and I suppose in conversations with people. And it can be easy to overshare, but I think it's not a bad thing to overshare. I think that it's only a bad thing if you're making someone uncomfortable. But I think it's a good way of getting to know someone. You have to share things in order to get to know someone. So I would say overshare sometimes is pretty good. Even, who cares? We're all going to die. Remember that. I saw... Build temporary habitations, games and chambers, play there, hide. First man stood, shifting stance while germs of sight unfurled flags in his skull, and quickening hair, nails, skin turned slowly, whirled in the warm aquarium, warm wheel turning. Cave, fish, eels and grey salamanders turn in their night career of sleep. We already talked about salamanders, but build temporary habitations, games and chambers, play there, hide, is just what I was saying. You're building temporary habitations, you're going on arts residencies, you're going on holidays, you're going to the cinema, you're creating temporary habitations, games and chambers, you're playing there, you're hiding for a bit, you're rejuvenating your creative juices, and then you can come back and attack whatever it is you got to attack. Or maybe you just need a break from work. So you're going to build that temporary habitation, which could be metaphorical temporary habitation. It could be reading a book, listening to a song, and in your head you're building this new hut, and that's where you live for a bit. I think sometimes when you change habits, you are changing your environment as well, without even physically changing your environment. You just start to see it differently. you start to appreciate it more. Maybe you change it slightly, and then you are able to cope more in that shelter or habitat. Shelters and habitats. Specific shelters are made for specific habitats. So say if you're in the rainforest, you would need to be slightly elevated because it's damp and you'd need a roof, and it would need to be a biggish shelter because it's a humid place, a warm place, so you'd want it to be cool inside. Whereas if you were in a desert, you'd need a shelter that had two parts. You'd need a large part and a small part. The small part would be for nighttime when it's very cold, and the big part would be for daytime when it's very hot. And the structure would need to be stronger than the one in the rainforest because there's winds in sandstorms and things, whereas in the rainforest you're protected by the canopies and the trees from the wind and the rain, so it doesn't need to be as strong. And in the Arctic, which is also a desert but a very cold one, you need like an igloo with a tunnel to get in, which keeps you warm. And this would be a smaller environment. You could also have a fire in it. So you need different shelters for different environments, which is true. If we need different shelters for different types of people in different environments. And we're talking about interior environments, interiors of shelters now. We're thinking about comforts, because being comfortable isn't necessarily a bad thing. At night time, to feel safe, to feel secure, you need to make your shelter safe and secure and cozy and homely, and you need to have things in it that help you to rest so you can be strong and face the uncomfortable. So you need to have a good mixture of the two. When I say comfort is dangerous, I'm talking about drunkenness and drugs and sex and stuff. You do that too much, then you're just going to be fucked. It's overwhelming. There's some professional rock stars out there that do that type of stuff all the time, but they die young, apart from the Rolling Stones. Although I feel like they're very picky about what they're sort of doing now. They must be going to the gym a lot. I mean, they're really still at it. Don't know if they're partying hard anymore. Crazy. You gotta do a bit of something to have a story. It doesn't make you boring if you don't, but it's good to try and experiment with things. I don't know. It's good. You just got to be careful about it. Yep. I'll report back next week after doing a 30-mile run, if I do one. I'll report back on how I felt. If I saw anything weird, if I felt like going longer, I probably won't, but if I can, I might, just to see how I feel. I'm interested in how running long distance can change your perception of the world and make you feel like you're capable of doing more than you thought you were capable of doing. Running long distance can help you understand that you are capable of doing more than you thought you were, which can create a cool shift in attitude. You start to smile more, you start to, really relish life and think, I'm going to grab it and I'm going to go for that thing, And then some people, they just sleep all the time and are really tired, which is okay too. Or eat croissants. Croissants. Cakes. Beautiful. Sugar's an inflammatory thing. I don't care. I'm going to eat it anyway. I like it. Yeah. Coffee and cake. Little cigarette. Okay, I think I'm done for this one. I've got my car parked. And it's just getting good. I gotta go though. So I'll speak to you next week. Bye bye.